I have muted the music. We are back. What are your predictions for this best of 5? Before we go ahead and hop into it, what are your predictions?
I actually haven't. I didn't get to see the EPT Europe that you were talking about because I'm in a, I'm working during that time. So I don't have a good idea of just how. I don't have a good up-to-date idea of where these players are. But ShoWTime's had a great 2022. Reynor has as well. But I think it's a 3-2 either way. Although we've been cursed thus far, so I guess I have to say 3-0, right, Roddy? Because that's just how this. It's Friday the 13th. Okay, it's gonna be a 3-0, and it's gonna be, let's say Reynor 3-0. The score is what matters.
All right. I hope you're very wrong in that one. Obviously, a lot of people have been talking about the new maps and that the new maps look good for Zerg. I always feel like looking at that, I'm like, okay, in ZVT, I can absolutely see that. In ZVP, I am not sure yet. Like, I feel like I kind of need to see how a lot of the games play out. But the maps are obviously big. They are wide open. But I don't know. I have hopes for ShoWTimE. I do think, obviously, ShoWTimE is an underdog. But this is kind of the struggles that I mentioned earlier when it comes to creating a main event. And having guys like Reynor, Cyril, Clem, MaxPax, or Gabe, it's like they're pretty much always going to be the favorites, right? It's really hard, especially for the big three. I think Reynor, Clem, and Cyril. It's really hard to get them to play series unless I want them to play against each other over and over again. So there are a few people out there who I believe can put up a very good fight, but I do think ShoWTimE is one of them. So I've got some hopes, but obviously Mr. Mauer is the underdog. I'm going to let them know that we are good to go already. Go, 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 go.
Well, Roddy, I do have some good news for you.
Go ahead.
Statistically, this map is incredibly Zerg favored. It's 3-1, 75% win rate. So, we know as we, in the 4 maps that have been played, clearly this is incredibly imbalanced, and it's going to be a 1-0 Reynor lead at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, numbers don't lie. 75% is serious, mate. I actually think that we need to start. People are still writing Apollo, by the way, right now, whenever they want to complain about the EPT or something related to the EPT. I'm like, guys, Apollo's doing Counter-Strike, okay? Leave that man alone. If you guys want to tweet feedback out right now when it comes to Katowice or the EPT or anything StarCraft 2 related and ESL related, the man you guys have to tweet at is Alex007. He is our new Apollo. Apollo's doing Counter-Strike. Leave him alone. Anyway, let's go ahead and enjoy the grand finals of the 13th edition of the BASILISK Big Brain Bouts. $200 on the line. $150 for the winner, $50 for the loser. And it's a rematch of the most recent EPT grand finals. In the top left side, we're looking at the main base of our Italian Zerg, representing Kaizi Gaming, and playing these games from the Netherlands. But he's not here. He's at Harstem's house. This is Reynor.
And on the bottom right, in the red, he's known as the Wall. Let's see if he can withstand whatever Reynor throws at him. He is for big esports, ShoWTimE. Or I guess Stormgate as well.
He's excited.
Storm G, at the very least.
He's excited. Can you blame him? Aren't we all?
Actually, I got a bit of a teaser talking about Stormgate stuff. For those of you that may or may not know, I run Stormgate. Oh, never mind. That I run Stormgate Nexus, right, which is a site that has news and analysis about Stormgate stuff, RTS design, and we're gonna put a bit of a teaser here. I've got an interview with someone who has played the game, or at least played part of the game, that I will be doing tomorrow. That'll be up sometime in the next week. So they're starting to do things a little bit. But we get a little bit of insight into what the game actually feels like. So,
yep.
I mean, teaser there. It's not happened just yet, but I'm excited.
Nah, I can understand it. I was very excited to hear that they were having an internal tournament, right, between Stormgate employees. Because that obviously means that they are playing a game where there is a winner and a loser. And I'm like, oh my god, that means that we're getting close. Let's go. So I am very excited for that. They said that Kevin was going to be the favorite. Kevin Dunk. Also known as, Monk is his nickname. Not Donk. Played some poker this week, so maybe I'm thinking of donkeys right now. But I can see why. But yeah, I was like, man, if they are playing, then I feel like it can't take forever until I get a message and they're like, hey, do you want to play a couple games? And I'll be like, hells yeah, I absolutely would love to play a couple games. And obviously some of the screenshots that we saw in the early days, whether it was at one of the summits or some of the stuff that they've released, I don't know. I think a lot of people are like, man, you're really big on it. And it's like, yeah, for all the right reasons. Because these people, they know what they're doing. They're going to make an awesome game. It is always going to be good. We just hope it's going to be legendary good. But I think at the very bare minimum, it's going to be good.
No, I do have a bit. They're playing. Not only are they doing tournaments, Roddy, they're playing it like every day, or at least they're playing some amount of games on it every day. So, everyone talks about Blizzard soon TM. Yeah, I know they promised closed beta in summer, but are they really going to do that? Well, from everything at least I know, they're on track to hit that one. They have a race partially, or they have a faction partially developed. They're playing games on it every day. It's to the point where they can invite some external people to go hang out at their playtests if they're local, which is, I mean, hey, I know we're just beating on a dead horse here, but that's incredibly exciting. But look at this now. In the early game, we're seeing a bit more aggression from a Protoss player than we might normally otherwise see. It's 2 adepts instead of 1, and it does knock down the creep tumor for the moment, and that does force a couple extra lings out of Reynor, but that is kind of going to the extent of it, because now speed is done, although that's a 3rd adept.
Yeah, ShoWTimE has been pretty big on just making a couple of adepts and going for adepts and oracles at the same time, and then the adepts don't need resonating glaives, because obviously the queens cannot be everywhere at once, and often you want all of your queens together if you go up against a triple oracle opening, or at least like leave one queen behind to inject, but the other queens, they need to be in the right spot. ShoWTimE is still gonna go for it, looks at double queen, does not care, takes a lot of damage though in that first oracle, gets 2 drones, but that amount of damage, I don't think ShoWTimE is going to be very happy with that.
It's not really worth it. That tech, though, right, where you go triple adept, triple oracle, and then you dive in on 2 bases at once and everything gets one shot, that's something that Hero absolutely loves to do. Now, it didn't work out super well for ShoWTimE just yet. He's only on 2 oracles, and 1 did get very low, and that does mean that later on it's going to be a little harder for that to happen. If an oracle dives in and actually gets, what's that, 1 worker going down, but there's no defense at the 3rd base, no spore either. This is the greed that we were talking about, although that's still only 4 drones, Roddy.
Yeah, but that's pretty good, because he actually keeps this one alive. He doesn't lose it. There was a decent amount of lost mining time. I don't hate this, especially because all the adepts are alive. Like, if he would have lost all the adepts, it'd be like, ooh, that's not good. But not losing any unit yet and getting 4 drones against a Zerg like Reynor, I don't hate this start at all for ShoWTimE. The first Oracle took a bit too much damage, but I think Oracle number 2 was a success. The adepts here, we have sniped a decent amount of creep tumors. This is going to be a stasis trap. Yes, it is. Is Reynor paying attention? Yes, he is. Was a close call, though.
A lot of the adepts, though, on the right-hand side, they get found out. ShoWTimE has been heavily committing to this adept play, right? In the early game, as the oracles dive in, get yet more. And this is where we start to see the damage pile up. Because Reynor has committed to not getting that spore in the 3rd base on the assumption that queens are going to be able to defend. And now it's a little bit more, especially considering the fact that those adepts went down. And as the oracles are on the other side of the map, there's not a lot here to defend. Force field energy has to get used. Zealots have to get warped in, which is just, you don't want to be spending that money right now. And that is much better for Reynor than, well, he lost a lot of drones, but I don't know. I feel like the pressure that he's able to put on with those scant few lings is kind of making up for it.
Yeah, but I think overall this is good by ShoWTimE, man. I'm impressed. He's obviously finding some damage, and we all know that finding any drone against Reynor is hard. Yeah, the man has made it to three World Championship finals in a row. He won 1 of them, 2nd place in 2 others. So far, I think so good for ShoWTimE. That even in workers, Reynor is going to go roaches and a very quick infestation pit. Could be for Hive, but it could also be for those swarmos that we saw last Monday, even if that was on a different patch. The only thing that I'm a bit confused about is that we indeed have a lot of Zealots and charge is nowhere near done, but I really like the way that ShoWTimE has played this game so far. I think it's been very good. If you take a look at the units lost, he's lost a couple of adepts. They got found eventually by the links, but other than that, I think he's doing a good job in slowing Reynor down. And if this army that's moving out right now can get a cancel on the base, then it'd be fantastic, but I don't think that's going to happen.
I mean, maybe there was a little room. There were literally only 7 lings on the map. It's that, that's not what you want. Oracle goes down. There was not a lot of fighting force for ShoWTimE's side, so maybe, just maybe. And actually, that becomes a bit of a problem now, because that timing that ShoWTimE was looking to hit, where, I mean, obviously he didn't have charge, but sentries are still a decent way to get your zealots on top of this. If he was able to hit before the swarm goes out, that would be very nice. Or if he could adjust out right now, but once the swarm run across the other side of the map, start getting ShoWTimE in. The army is not going to be nearly nice. I get want to form at some.
Sorry, mate. One sec. Sorry, you turned into a robot there for a little while. Discord doing Discord things. You were perfectly fine. It happened once or twice before, but after that it got fixed. But this time around, I was like, I'm gonna let you finish, but then you just kept turning into a bigger and bigger robot. So hopefully everything will be fine. It already sounds better right now. I heard you laugh there, but sorry, I had to stop you for a split second because you went full on robot. Obviously, you're on the other side of the world, so these things happen. Let's go ahead and see what Reynor can get done with the swarm host. The first wave is important, the second wave is important, and what we also have to mention is that the Dark Shrine is finishing up, and that could actually come into play in a pretty big way. Robot Bio, are you still here?
Yeah, if there's no detection there, certainly will. It's a way to get an Archons, which can be useful against this. And hey, if there's no detection, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Did I lose my? I can hear you.
No, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, good. Yeah, apparently. Are we good?
I am good. But
I can hear you.
Okay. Ooh, that Nova, by the way, was awfully close.
Shots are going to go out. Hopefully people hear. And that's going to get targeted down immediately.
All right. Seems like there is a bit of a delay, but...
Oh, God, that's a big one, though.
I did not see that one as I was taking a look at the roaches on the top right side, trying to counterattack. Stasis Trap indeed freezes pretty much the entire army. So now it's just the Locust, and I want to say that ShoWTimE is surviving a very scary phase. If you're just looking at the supplies right now, you're like, oh my god, ShoWTimE is in all sorts of trouble. But he could time this with a perfect Nova. I don't know if he's going to do that. He is going to try to do that and sends a good Nova forward. I mean, ShoWTimE is honestly doing a lot better on this patch than he was doing on the new patch that we saw last Monday. Because there it was often 40, 50 supply against the maxed out Reynor. We're now looking at 93 army supply for ShoWTimE as he fires forward another Nova. I am starting to become a believer over here, BeoMulf. Are you here, mate?
I'm hoping I can hear you. Am I on time? Can you?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. I'm assuming that I'm either delayed or just not sounding good in any way. Oh, okay, good. So, hey, the Stalker's blink forward. That's a nice bile here to start coming out of Reynor as he looks to make a fighting retreat. But the Swarm host just waiting on the right side for their Locust to bob up. That'll be when this fight starts to get rather problematic for ShoWTimE. But at the moment here, Disruptor shots go forward as well. Knock down a couple roaches, but Roddy, here come the Locust. Big Disruptor shot on the left side, knocks the Queens down. And the Locust without the roaches to fight for them, and the Archons being able to move forward. This is actually starting to look rather good for Demour here in this game number 1. But as I say that, well, the Locust, they actually just end up killing anything regardless. I had Copium, and the Copium's gone.
Yeah. I mean, game time, I think you're okay, but for some reason, I think you hear me a lot later than I hear you. Because whatever you're commentating is what I'm looking at, but we'll figure it out. For now, what I can say is that indeed ShoWTimE was doing good for the longest time until he ended up losing all of his disruptors. He's going to try to fire with this one. Nope, he's not. He's going to try to save it with a Warp Prism, but that one shows up a day later and $1 short. It is back and forth, and obviously, Reynor is still... I want to say with Lair, but that's not true at all. The Hive is done, so he's working with Lair tech units, but he doesn't have a single Hive tech unit yet. Lost a lot of the Queens. He's only working with 4 Queens, so that is honestly something we have to mention. Upgrades look good for ShoWTimE, since +3 is more than halfway done, but losing all those Disruptors in the center of the map, I think that was pretty painful.
Oh. Yeah, the problem is that the Queens, well, I guess part of the nice thing, right? Disruptors got Queens, but that's a massive shot on the Ravagers as well. The problem at this point, though, is there's just not enough splash to clear these Locusts quickly. And then even when it looked good with the Archons moving forward, there's just too much space to cover. So at this point, yes, Swarm hosts are worth a lot of supply variety, but I think the supply is starting to tell the story here, even as, okay, well, yes, Swarm hosts are a lot of that, but a couple Disruptor shots, they might make a bit of a difference. They land pretty damn hard as the Oracles try to dive on top of the Ravagers as well, but is there enough of a follow-up? We have that burst damage, but it now is literally only Stalkers, and even with the shield battery able to find their way behind the wall as Reynor continues to expand across the map, I don't know that ShoWTimE is quite holding quite well enough.
We're finally using our Dark Shrine as he just wiped in 4 DTs at once. There's 1 DT swiping away at a couple of locusts, or swarmos rather, in the center of the map. Reynor is all over this Nexus on the top right side. There is no pylon, so ShoWTimE can't wipe in any units. But at least the DTs are buying time. And if ShoWTimE is able right now to spend the big bank that he's currently working with, then the army supplies be a whole lot closer than what we are actually looking at. Reynor does have a couple of spines and spores at one of the most exposed bases, and he's now morphing 22 banelings. They only have +1, so they don't one-shot workers, but 22 is still a serious amount. I don't know about that, ShoWTimE. That's a little bit ambitious. I mean, he needs to spend all his money. I don't know if we can hold here. If we can hold, I am still a believer, but ShoWTimE needs a very big Nova. The first one is not that big. The second one is a little bit better, but I'm not sure if that's good enough, as he also loses a Disruptor in the process.
Yeah, unfortunately, because he lost all those Archons, you talk about only just barely using the Dark Shrine. Well, that's where all the Archons came from. He lost so many Archons to the Locust over the course of the last 5 minutes or so of that game, that by the time the Banelings ran in, you had what? It was 2 Archons? Stalkers are better against Banelings than they used to be, but just not enough there to soak up the Banelings. And then from that point onwards, well, yeah, it's going to roll in. I guess maybe we just try to turn off my camera. Yeah. And I guess that's a little better.
I still see you. You're just very tiny right now. I gotta say, that's a good picture of you, though, mate. That's a good picture.
It was, I turned my camera back on. Maybe hopefully this will work this time. That was when I got a camera and I got a lens I liked, but it was just too zoomed in. And so I'm like, wow, this looks really good. I got the bokeh, you know, whatever. And then, it just was too zoomed in. It's like, well, do you want to see my eyes and that's it? No. So I had to find one that, you know, was not quite little less zoomed in.
I guess we can just turn the camera on whenever a game ends, and then once the game starts, you turn it off, and I think then it all should work. It should be fine. Like, it felt like there was a delay, and maybe it still feels like there's a delay, but I don't know how that would work. I've never experienced, like, I don't have delay hearing you, but you have delay hearing me. Is that a thing? I mean, you're the tech guy between us, so maybe you know.
I fixed it, I think. So Discord was on automatic server, right? Okay. Automatic server selection. And I think it was just putting us on a server that was not working well. I put us on US East, and at least in the Discord call, you were robot too. You sound better, and your picture looks much better. Okay. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I don't know.
All right. Well, obviously the audio is more important. As much as I love to see your beautiful young face, mate, I guess as long as the audio is good, we can have a fun time casting together. I guess that's slightly more important. We have seen you. We have seen your image of Basilisk printed on your forehead. I think that's all that really matters. Reynor is ready. ShoWTimE is ready. It was honestly a very similar, I feel like, to Monday night, guys. Maybe this one was a bit closer, but it's always like right where you start believing, something goes terribly wrong for ShoWTimE. And this game, it really was no different. It's like at one point you're like, okay, the supplies are closing in and we're still doing good, but then we're on creep, we lose 4 disruptors. And every single time we go back to just 1 or 2 disruptors, it feels that Reynor is just too good in letting a game spiral out of control, making a game-ending mistake against 1 or 2. It gets different if he's forced to fight into 4, 5, 6, 7 disruptors. That's where it becomes almost impossible for the roaches and ravages to support the locusts. So for ShoWTimE, it's just key to make those numbers go up and keep those bad boys alive. And let's see if he's able to do that on our second map here on Dragon Skills, where this man, our favorite, has taken the 1-0 lead. The Italian Zerg playing from the Netherlands. This is Reynor.
And on the bottom right, we started to believe at times in the first game. Let's see if we will turn into true believers. In the red, it's ShoWTimE.
I don't know if they actually played on this map last Monday. I have the feeling they didn't. I know they played on Babylon. I don't think they actually played on Dragon Skills, but maybe I just forgot, because all I remember was a lot of roaches and a lot of swarm hosts. Actually, maybe they did play on this one. Not totally sure. I'm still kind of learning on how to separate all the new maps. I'm just very excited for them. Every single day I wake up with a lot of hopium. Open Battle.net. And I'm like, yeah, no, yeah, no. This has been a reoccurring theme in my house right now for the last 6 days, where You wake up and you open Battle.net, or you take a look at Twitch, and then you see like the pro gamers, new map, new patch, and you're like, yeah, and it's like they're playing custom games. Man, I've been tricked a couple times. I even had people come into my Twitch chat. Does Roddy know that the new maps are live? And I'm like, what? Really? No? When I'm playing some poker, and they're like, oh no, never mind. I'm like, bro, come on. And then somebody in the Discord is like, hey, are the new maps live? And I'm like, what? Really? And they're like, oh, never mind. They're just playing custom games. I'm like, oh my god, can you guys stop with this? Like, you're funking with my heart over here.
No, you all need to do that more to Roddy, because as we all know, anyone watching any sort of content, the goal is not for the content creator to have fun. It's chat or Discord or whatever, causing as much misery to us as possible, and then that's the content that people enjoy. So, Roddy, did you know the patch is out?
I'm more excited for the maps, and this is a lot of links, by the way. I think Reynor is link flooding or something, right? Because this is so many links early on. Why is he making this many links way before link speed is done? I told Reynor I want a good show. What is he doing over here? This reminds me of the one time that I think I had a series once against Bly. And I knew that Bly was very good at that moment, and I was a big underdog. This is a great scout, by the way, for ShoWTimE. Yeah, I played Bly in some sort of weekly tournament. And I knew it was going to be very hard, but I just hoped it would be fun. And Bly proxy hatches me and kills me in 5 minutes. And he's like, just a fun build. I hope the viewers had fun. And I'm like, bro, that was not fun at all, man. Like, why couldn't you just go hatch first and make a bunch of drones and let me do my thing? Like, that's fun. Well, yeah.
This is such a weird build coming in from Reynor. The traditional Ling Flood build is 21 drones that you flood across the map with and try to break the natural down. We haven't seen that for a while. That was kind of what Armana used to kill Zest once upon a time. This is not quite that, and Reynor is droning behind this. I guess the idea here is to deny or delay a third base or catch the army on the move out.
I think the idea was actually to just all-out link flood. There is still no battery. Oh no, the adapt shaded to the other side. And ShoWTimE is going to be forced to recall it. This is actually still going to find some success. I don't think that Reynor can break through or anything, even though that's a lot of surface area on the gateway. This is now finding way more success than it was supposed to. And ShoWTimE can be very happy that Reynor stopped building links, because this is the amount of links that ShoWTimE can still clean up. Oh my goodness, that was a mistake by ShoWTimE, man. Letting that first Adept Shade finish up is a mistake. Reynor is not all out committed, so he's not gonna kill ShoWTimE here, but now look at all these probes not doing what they are supposed to be doing. Nothing is worse than chasing links in your main base of one of the best Zergs in the world. That was a big mistake by ShoWTimE. It was not supposed to happen. I think what originally was the idea for Reynor was to all-out link flood, but then it got scouted. And I think because it got scouted, he didn't actually follow through with it. But yeah, now he still found damage, I guess, because he's Reynor or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess we had the double bluff, right? So Reynor stops doing things and starts running again because he's scouted. Then ShoWTimE, on the assumption that, first of all, the techie's doing kind of hard counters a bunch of links with 6k glaives. And then on top of that, Reynor's clearly going to stop. So I don't need to build more static defense. And then, well, Reynor, that does happen. But even still, there are going to be plentiful adepts on the map pretty soon. But the Queen's fine. You're in vision, ShoWTimE. Don't warp in there. And while the Lings are going to get us around on the first round of adepts, even though they do have glaives, a bunch of them will fall, at least take damage. And the Roach Warren was popped. We saw the moment that Reynor got the Lings in the main base. He saw the Twilight, saw the number of gateways, dropped the Roach Warren. And I don't see a world where this gets any damage done.
No, I mean, in a way, it's getting some indirect damage done. I love the Dark Shrine here, by the way. I was actually just thinking about it. I'd really love to see a Dark Shrine, because Reynor does not have a lair yet. But if Reynor keeps on making Lings and Roaches and sends them to the other side of the map, a couple of Ravages could be very, very annoying to deal with. But obviously, with a Dark Shrine, you will make sure that you never die, because TTs are very good. I really do hope that ShoWTime's units are on hold position, because Reynor feels he doesn't need the Lings at home anymore. So he's going to try to counterattack one more time. This time around, ShoWTime goes for a gateway. Adept will live, I think. Yeah, we should be fine here. I mean, it's not that bad if you look at the worker count. Obviously, 3 bases against 2 is not fantastic. But 44 probes against 36 drones, I think that's something that ShoWTime can work with.
It certainly is. Remember, though, this is not because ShoWTime killed workers. It's because Reynor did build those Lings early and has been having to hold drones on top of that. So, yeah, you're right. The pressure here from ShoWTime, even if he doesn't kill things, is nice. But we're also starting to hit that point. There's a lot of Adept Shade on the ramp, excuse me. But we're starting to hit that point where yeah, you put an adept here and there, and it's not like it's not the big clump that gets all the damage. It's a big clump that distracts Reynor, while an adept finds his way into the third base and kills 6 workers. Then 1-2 find his way into the natural.
DTs! DT's Dark Shrine is done. He just warped in 3 Dark Templars. Mr. Mauer is gonna shade his adepts on top of his Spore Crawler. Dark Shrine is done. 3 DTs. Reynor with no lair. Reynor in all sorts of trouble. He's gonna try to do Reynor things right now and force Spore Crawlers to finish up while trying to surround him with drones. But this is going to hurt regardless. Even if he gets Spore Crawlers up, Reynor is going to lose so many workers. I completely forgot about the offensive Dark Shrine. I was like, defensive is nice, but offensive, yeah, obviously it's going to be a whole lot better. Reynor does walk over a Spore Crawler, but this hatchery should always die, right? No amount of transfuse can save it. That was actually kind of close, but it will still die. That was big for ShoWTimE. Very, very big.
I mean, credit to Reynor, though. He had no spores. 2 spores died. And he still, yes, he lost a lot of workers, and he lost a hatch, and this game is still very much ShoWTimE favored. But despite that, one adept gets on top of this. It's not going to do anything. Credit to Reynor to keeping, 2 of his hatches alive, not taking as much damage as he possibly could. I mean, I'm looking at that there, no detection, everything, and you're just thinking, this game's over, right? Go to game 3, and it might still be.
Yeah, that's
but
actually
the fact that
insane.
Reynor even has a shot in this game is insane.
The crisis management there by Reynor was insane, but I think ShoWTimE should have just been happy with the amount of damage he dealt and killing the natural. I think he should have been happy with that, but he got a bit greedy. He warped in 3 more DTs, I think hoping that he would be able to kill this Spore Crawler in the main base. When he didn't, and now he ends up losing 7 DTs. And I'm with you. I still like it for ShoWTimE. A lot, obviously, because the Zerg is not supposed to be only on 2 bases, but losing those final 3 DTs and not getting any damage done. 3 Dark Templars on a 2-base Protoss economy. That is a serious investment.
That it is, and as the Robobait goes down here as well, it seems like that is what ShoWTimE's follow-up is going to be. I mean, DTs randomly around the map right now. Hey, killing Lings is nice, but I think we're going to see Blink Stalker Disruptor out of this, and against a Zerg that is sitting here and lower economy as the Adepts find their way to the natural, more drones fall. That's a great way to deal with a bunch of Roaches and a bunch of Ravagers. Stalkers do bonus damage to Roaches. Disruptors kill them all. So I like that follow-up, even as you say, okay, maybe he got a little bit too many DTs, but these Adepts are starting to make that matter less and less. Little drips of damage here and there, and well, hey, 5 drones are dead.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that this is now a game where you're still like, okay, it could be very good for ShoWTimE, it should be, but he's still gonna have to work for it is crazy, because that was supposed to be game over, man. No Spore Crawler finished up, 4 or 3 DTs being warped into the main base. It's not like they were warped in at home. They were into the main base. Reynor did a phenomenal job there in somehow stabilizing and not losing too many workers. I mean, throughout the game, Reynor has lost 19 drones, but that's against DTs that he wasn't ready for, and a whole bunch of Adepts with Resonating Glaives. We have a Spire on the way now, but Blink is pretty much done. +1 is going to get fired up soon. Well, yeah, ShoWTimE is still going to have to work for this game. Even though this is the best it's looked in a little while, he's still going to have to work for it.
I mean, regardless, I think at least this game is going to be much better than we had in that game number 1, right? It's turning into actually kind of a cool game here. So Blink is now done, Roddy. We're looking at 2 Disruptors, 3rd one just about done. And yes, you mentioned +1 is going to be pretty delayed in this push. Even still, this force of Stalkers and Disruptors, they're going to dominate the high ground, and Reynor is going to struggle to go up that ramp and try to contest, which means that ShoWTimE will have this nice position to go and start to leverage his aggression from. We're even seeing that happen right now before the Disruptors join the fray and before the War Prism kind of camps out on the high ground. That being said, with the Spire on the way here, you get a couple meters, you knock down the War Prism, and that can take the wind out of the sails, although Stalkers blink on top of that, and that can put the wind right back in, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, normally if you would just join the stream right now, you'd be like, oh, well, it seems like the Zerg is pretty dead here, like 18 army supply advantage. But you get scared, man, because Reynor has been feeling it lately. Reynor has been phenomenal. The victory in Krefeld at the Home Story Cup was fantastic. We obviously saw him play in the weekly last Monday. He looked damn good throughout that entire weekly too. And I've seen this kiddo make some remarkable comebacks over the last few years, especially in this matchup as well, where like obviously Sero is as good, if not even better than Reynor, but I think Reynor truly is a magical comeback kid, and he can truly turn nothing into a whole lot. And I think ShoWTimE knows that, so he's probably also wondering, like, why why is this game not over yet? And now you want to make sure that nothing bad happens. His army is terrifying. ShoWTimE should never lose this game. ShoWTimE knows that, but you also know that crazy things can happen when you go up against Reynor, so he needs to make sure that he doesn't lose the Disruptors, that he doesn't fall apart against these mutas that are flying to the other side of the map, and then Mr. Mauer will be fine.
Oh, there is one problem here. There's no static defense in the map. Literally 2 shield batteries, 2 cannons, nothing else. So you have to full recall here, at least get a lot of stalkers, and that forces ShoWTimE's army to split up a little bit. Yes, he got the 4th base, but that was, what, 10, 12 stalkers recalled into the natural. They're not even responding here, so these mutas are getting so much damage done, Roddy. It doesn't make up for losing a 4th base, but at least it begins to make that happen, as now the Roaches at the front trying to make the hold happen here. Biles are going to get a stalker. That's nice, but you need a little bit more than that. Kiting backwards, Disruptor gets a couple more Roaches. The Biles continue to land, though, and that's the one thing you're a little bit worried about if you are a ShoWTimE fan, because certainly on the other side of the map, he's running out of his ability to reinforce what he's making. That is mutas knocking out 2 mineral lines almost, 23 probes dead, and that's a free Disruptor.
Yeah.
Is there a world now?
I mean, the fact is that Reynor killed way more with these mutas than he was supposed to. ShoWTimE was supply block when they showed up. That's always really annoying. Now he's got a crazy amount of supply at home, which I hope then he has enough to still win the fight on the other side of the map. The Novas connect, though, especially the one at the bottom left side. I think that's the Nova that ShoWTimE really needed. Because if he would have lost this army as well, then he'd be in serious trouble. Reynor is doing whatever the hell he can to turn this into a game. When is the last time, like, what is this, 9-10 mutas killed 29 probes against ShoWTimE? Hello? But in the end, these mutas will fall. And I feel like with that, the chaos should stop, and now ShoWTimE should be able to just utilize the micro potential of his army. Don't think Reynor can really do a whole lot about it. Why is this game close? The BeoMulf. Why?
It's because we're about a month to Katowice, and you talk about Reynor when he's good and when he's not good, his ability to come back. There is never a time in our StarCraft yearly cycle when Reynor is better than like the month leading up to Katowice and Katowice itself. I don't know what it is. The kid turns it on.
Oh, I know what it is.
Such an incredible way, and we're starting to hit that time.
I know what it is. Instead of molding his hair out in League of Legends and being stuck in Platinum 3, he actually plays a lot of StarCraft, and he gets very, very good at the game. I think that's what it is. He's like, you know what, I'm sick and tired of this game that's in black and white because I'm always dead. Let's go ahead and enjoy a game with some colors. That is StarCraft 2, and turns out when he plays a little more, he gets incredibly good. I do not think it's going to save him in this game, but the fact that he made this game as exciting and as long as it was while the DTs were warped in, that's crazy. But in the end, we are going to prevent the 3-0 here in the main event, and Mr. Mauer shows us that it doesn't always have to be that kid from Italy. He snaps the losing streak. He lost the last 4 games in a row against Reynor, but not this one, not on this patch, not on Dragon Skills. It was a great game in the end, and the Dark Shrine, I think, is really what did it.
I mean, yeah, you kill a Zerg's natural and what was it, 15 workers at the time. It's very difficult to come back from. Shout out to Reynor for making it close, but you're right. At the end of the day, it's not working out, although I guess the Ling run by killed a mineral line. Regardless, ShoWTimE ties it up 1-1, and you're right. The curse has been broken. We have more than just a 3-0.
I almost forgot about the fact that I think Reynor wanted indeed to start off with the Ling flood, but I think because of the Adept Scout, he didn't go for it. Also, can't believe that he would go for a Ling flood on the Friday night in the Big Brain Bouts. Something that he knows that I care about. I mean, the friendship is over. If that would have actually worked, then he would have won game 2 in 4 minutes. But you know what? We're good for now. We're all tied. We've got a competitive series. I'm happy. You're happy. Basilisk is happy. I don't know if Reynor's happy, but ShoWTimE's happy.
You know, Roddy, I guess the question, though, is... I guess the reason why he went for that Ling flood, it's very simple. He's staying with StarCraft this time. He doesn't have to worry about you beating down his door and getting, you know, taking him out for going and going for that Ling flood. So the build order is unlocked. He doesn't have to worry about that.
I mean, the last time he was here and he played in the Big Brain Bout, he had a banger of a best of 5 against Clem, and all games were amazing. They were back and forth. Yeah, if he would ever Ling flood while staying here, I would make him sleep in the backyard, and he knows that. So I guess he feels safe, protected by ShoWTimE, and now the kid just thinks that he can do whatever the hell he wants. Unbelievable scenes, but I'm glad it didn't work. I'm glad we have a tight series.
Oh, it's much more fun that way. Absolutely.
Game 3 is going to be played on Royal Blood. I know a couple of you guys joined us during the first or the second game. These matches are all on the new maps, but they're all on the old patch. This is our 4th series of the night, our main event. We kicked the night off with our very first TVT ever, believe it or not, guys. I organized a TVT. Nobody forced me to do it. I just did it for the Terrans out there. It was Moja versus Nicorok. Moja won 3-0, but the games were actually kind of fun. They weren't one-sided. It wasn't that Moja was always going to win every single game. He had to work for it. Second series was Hydra against Dolan, so an American Terran against a Dutch Protoss. Games were 3-1. Dolan just played a bit better and had a couple of very dirty builds. Before this, we had Kalazur Gerald. That was a 3-0, and Kalazur just kind of rolled all over Gerald. There's no other way to put it. If you missed it, I would lie if I tell you guys to go back into the VODs, and it's much-watched TVP, unless you struggle with TVP and you really want to learn some Kalazur builds. And this is our final match of the night. I know. Go. I was just in my speech, and then Reynor made me the host, and he said, Kevin, you're the host. Go. I was like, yeah, I know. All right. Reynor says, go. ShoWTimE says, go. I always double-check, because I know that these guys, especially the youngsters like Reynor, they have HDHD like no tomorrow. So they say go. But if the game doesn't start within 2 seconds, they all tap. And then if the game suddenly starts and they are reading Team Liquid or Reddit or whatever, and they come back and they didn't build a drone in the first 2 seconds of the game, they're like, ... I was all tapped. And I was like, I know. So never take the first go as an actual go, guys. Always write, are you guys ready again? And if they then say ready and you start the game immediately, then it's safe. Because these kids, if it doesn't start within 2 seconds, they all tap. I know that. So, crisis averted. We're good to go. Game 3 on the Aladdin map. Do you know the Aladdin map, BeoMulf?
The Aladdin map?
Aladdin, yeah.
Aladdin.
Hey, we call him different, okay? He has a different name in the Netherlands, mate. Leave me alone.
Oh, no, I'm just making sure I understand the same thing. But this is certainly a map that has all the balance patches. One per base, actually. Or just patches in general.
Yeah, there's a lot of carpets. They're different as well. All right, game 3, main event. BASILISK Big Brain Bouts. Winner gets $150. Loser gets $50. Bottom left side. I think it's like the 3rd or 4th time that he's playing in a Big Brain Bouts. I know he lost to Clem twice. Once with his main race, once in an off-race series. This is Kaiser Gaming's Reynor. Did he ever win, guys?
Well, we're going to have to see if he's going to win this run, because his opponent in the upper right in the red playing a much stronger game number 2. He is ShoWTimE.
Yeah. Honestly, man, I felt kind of sad for ShoWTimE, because I felt in the last 4 games that I saw against Reynor playing Roaches and Swarm Host, it feels so close, and it feels like a lot of little things go his way. The early game is sexy, the mid game is often quite sexy, and then it just... one mistake and it all falls apart, because we know how good Reynor is. We know how he punishes every single mistake that you make. And it felt that not all 4 games were supposed to go in Reynor's favor. Like 2, sure, 3 probably, but all 4 of them is like, no, ShoWTimE, you were so close over and over again. So I'm very happy that he was able to win that previous map, even though it got a bit closer in the end than it should have been.
Hey, I'm glad it got closer than it should have been, because that meant we had a fun game to watch. But Roddy, taking away from that for just a second, because I figured between you and in your chat, you'll actually be able to give me an answer here. May on Fire, the person that made this map, was very excited that the doodad on like the left side of the bottom base, the right side of the top base, that has a bunch of people getting loaded into a spaceship came in, because it's some sort of reference to something. Do you know what that reference is?
Wait, I have no idea what you're talking about, mate. You lost me.
Take a look at my camera.
I don't... Oh, wait. How do I know what your camera is? Oh, this? Okay. Yeah. All right, I see a spaceship. Yes.
It's a reference to something, and people got very excited about it. Or May was very excited about it. Do you have any idea what it's a reference to?
Star Wars, for sure.
Fair enough. I'm not enough of a nerd to know, and I guess that's a problem, but...
Neither am I, mate. Trust me. But if you say something with a lot of conviction, people often believe you. All right, hey, the 2 adapts, by the way. This is a lovely little site for ShoWTimE. as he gets, well, 2 drones is alright. 2 drones is acceptable, especially if adept number 2 lives. We lost 1 adept, but yeah, wasn't all that bad for Mr. Mauer, I'd say. Look at that worker lead, by the way. 8 workers lead. That's pretty good. I don't hate it.
Have you heard of the magic of the good story of the Chrono, Roddy? Because I hear that's rather good.
No.
I mean, obviously, of course, killing workers and mining time lost and spore cancels and everything else. But we're gonna blame on Chrono because I play Zerg and therefore I just need something to complain about.
Have you? Do you play a lot of 1v1? I know you're a busy man. I know you're working your PhD and you're casting a lot. How much do you play?
Not as much as I would like to. So I play just enough to feel really bad about the quality of my play.
What
If you go
MMR
in
are
and
we
you're like,
talking?
Sorry?
What MMR are we talking, give or take?
I peaked at about 4,500. I'm probably closer to 4K right now.
All right. I have a couple friends around that MMR. What do you think? BeoMulf in the BASILISK Big Brain Bouts.
Sure. We'll need to set a date so I have time to actually try to build some time to actually at least bring my muscle memory up to where it should be.
All right. I have a very passionate German friend. He's a sweetheart. A lot of the pro gamers know him. His name is Lino. And he hovers around that MMR. On a good day, he's like 4,300 MMR. As we have Oracles and Adepts flying in, I think you two could have a banger of a best of 5. So I'm down if you're down, mate. And I know that he's down, because he's always down. He's the most passionate Diamond League low master player you ever see.
I mean, I think I see him in chat right now already saying he's down. So, sure. We'll get that organized at some point.
Love it. All right, ShoWTimE is throwing a couple of adepts at Reynor, and he's finding some drones here and there. Triple Oracle shows up in the main base. No Spore Crawler, and ShoWTimE feels he can take the fight, and he's right, baby. He kills the first queen. He's going to kill the second queen as well. Mr. Mauer is on fire, and Reynor is struggling a little bit. And with a little bit, I mean, Reynor is struggling a lot.
This is such a level up, even on what Hero does, right? We talked about that, I think it was game 1, about triple Adept in the mirror line, triple Oracle somewhere else, and you kill a lot of workers. It's just hard for the Zerg to multitask. But because Reynor was greedy on the spores, there was nothing. He had to micro 2 places at once, unable to do so. 12 workers are dead, 2 queens are dead. Lings have to get made to deal with the Adepts. The Oracles, they stay alive. And now, it's 6 minutes in, and the Protoss is still up on workers.
Yeah, I do think the final 2 adepts, if you want to be critical about one thing, right, I think ShoWTimE had some extra potential there. If he would have paid attention to those 2 adepts and he would have walked them a little bit closer towards his ramp, he probably gets 2 or 3 additional drones, and then it's absolutely fantastic. But yeah, now there was still lost mining time, and a lot of workers went down regardless, and most importantly for ShoWTimE is that all 3 Oracles are still alive. Alright, ShoWTimE is going to be absolutely buzzing as we speak. Reynor is going to drop down a Spire, but hiding a Spire against 3 Oracles that are still alive is difficult. Then again, all 3 Oracles did take a bit of a beating up to this point, so there is a chance. No, wait, okay, where is it? Yeah, it's over here. All the way in the bottom right, interesting.
Yeah, it's not really somewhere where we expect the Oracles to go all that much. They'll be hallucinating in the main base to see what the tech is. They'll try to get workers main natural, kind of that key position where there's maybe a little bit less anti-air, but kind of that pocket corner of the third that's covered by a spore, covered by queens. If there was a spot that, say, Reynor did decide to put an Overlord on the bottom right side and draw and poop creep or something, which is not something we've seen for years, that probably is where it will go undetected. And thus far, Roddy, it has. Fire, 75% done. And, well, ShoWTimE doesn't have an idea. But also, this move out may make it so that idea does not matter. Good Force Fields knocked down 1 queen to start, and there's not anything here to defend this 4th base.
Nope, there's a lot of exposed drones. There was an exposed queen. Finally, one of these Oracles goes down. But ShoWTimE gets a very easy kill on this hatchery that did manage to finish up. And now there is only one real important thing for ShoWTimE to do, and that is be aware of this Spire. That's something he doesn't know yet. And right now, okay, Reynor, you're gonna lose this hatchery again, man. Reynor got very ambitious there, thinking ShoWTimE was happy with the hatchery kill and would just go home. But ShoWTimE is like, I'm starting to love this neighborhood, man. I feel welcomed. There aren't a lot of evil people out here. I'm going to stick around a little bit longer. And Reynor is forced to cancel it again, forced to pull the drones right now. ShoWTimE has a lot of money in the bank, but even with all that money, he's doing totally fine. He's going to wipe in 6 or 7 extra Stalkers, and Reynor is going to have a hard time just pushing this army back.
Yeah, +1 is done, Blink is done. The Lings look for the wraparound, but there are Oracles there. They knock that down. That being said, though, as positive we were about that move, and I think rightfully so, ShoWTimE may be getting a little bit more worried about what he can do. So he backs up, takes his 4th base, and Reynor had to spend so much money, all the money he was maybe saving, to build the defensive army that the mutas are a minute and a half late than they should have been. And that means that, well, now +2 is halfway done. ShoWTimE has time to go and actually put Stalkers where they need to be.
Yep, I mean, Stalkers with +2 against 0-0 mutas. Like, mutas are always annoying. And people often ask me, Roddy, why do you build Phoenix every game? And the main reason I build Phoenix a lot in this matchup is because I think defending against mutas is very difficult. The pros, they make it look doable with a couple blink stalkers, but if you're not a pro, it's very hard to deal with mutas. But if the mutas are 0-0 and your blink stalkers are +2, I don't want to say that I wouldn't build any Phoenix, because I probably would, but that's the kind of fights that I'm willing to take with my Stalkers. It just becomes a little bit more doable. ShoWTimE does queue up a Phoenix, regardless of all of that. He's like, you know what, why make life hard when you can make it a bit easier on yourself? And Reynor is just once more in all sorts of trouble. But hey, last game, 9 or 10 mutas killed, what was it, 28 probes? Let's see how well these mutas do.
This time, at least there's static defense about the base that Reynor attacked into first. Not that it's actually saving ShoWTimE all that much, but a little bit more of an opportunity. And while there was not cannons and shield batteries in the other bases quite as well, that bought him time to drop cannons and drop shield batteries and do those things. And the one Phoenix chasing, it just means Reynor has to continue to micro, although he doubles back, Phoenix stays alive. The nice thing about getting Phoenix, though, Roddy, is it means that technically ShoWTimE can stay on the map a little bit more with this main army, because you have this separate force that can go and really, it's just, you don't need as much supply to deal with the mutas. That being said, the Phoenix are not where they need to be, or not enough number just yet, so ShoWTimE has to back up anyways, and that buys Reynor 2 bases effectively. He's got his 4th and 5th.
Yep. Dark Shrine is done, so a little bit of Phoenix DT action, but not quite. And actually gonna morph the DTs into Archons immediately. Lame. I don't think that Reynor is aware of the Dark Shrine at all. So if Reynor wants to be aggressive with Roaches and Ravagers, ShoWTimE could just warp in DTs. There is absolutely nothing. Big old stasis trap here on the left side. We do have a tiny Ling run by though, and these Lings already have +1. It's not the most terrifying run by ever. And because the mutas, I guess we have a cannon and a battery here and there as well. ShoWTimE looks fine. Reynor, though, still maxed out. Little bit of money in the bank. Wouldn't hate an Infestation Pit from Reynor, because I think on lair tech, you're never going to win this game. So you may as well drop it and still try to sneak in that hive. And there we go.
There we go. That's exactly what you want to see. But that also means that Reynor, it's going to be a while before he gets up to that hive. You got to let the Infestation Pit finish. You got to let the hive complete. You need the Vipers to come out. You need the Vipers to get energy. It's going to take a while, as that's going to be a pretty big shot. Was that 3 or 4 Ravagers going down at the start, warding Reynor away from the army? He has to be some level of aggressive, because otherwise ShoWTimE's going to move out, maxed out here, and punish him for transitioning into hive, given how bad this game has been for Reynor.
Yeah.
But you also don't want to fight into that army, because we just saw what happens. It's Disruptors and all this powerful stuff.
Reynor setting up a massive Link counterattack, but don't forget about the Dark Shrine, guys. ShoWTimE is maxed out, though, so that's a bit annoying. He can't actually warp in any DTs at the moment, but just warping in a handful of DTs. He's got 12 supply right now. Goes for Zealots only, as he is just focusing on the fight apparently on the other side of the map. Drops a couple force fields. Gets a very easy kill on that hatchery. Floodgates are open here as well. This is where things could get a little bit problematic. Still just Zealots. It's almost like ShoWTimE forgot about the fact that he has a Dark Shrine. With Oracles at home. There's 10 gateways, soon to be 17 gateways, by the way. Okay, that's a lot of probes falling as the mutas show up in the main base. ShoWTimE's bank just disappeared, mate. He was sitting at over 1,500, 2,000 minerals not too long ago. We're at 0 as we speak. 40 workers going down just like that. Obviously, he still has a terrifying army. That's very, very difficult for Reynor to deal with, but that was a lot of economic damage to take.
Yeah, 40 probes. It happens to be a lot of probes. It's certainly more than 5, and I don't know where that math goes. But regardless, it's funny. I've been comparing. Sorry?
Times 8.
Yes, exactly.
That's right.
Big brain for Big Brain Bouts.
Yeah, mate. Anything up to 100 and I'm good, okay?
What are we at? Only 54 dead. Well, yeah, even the... We're at, what, we're at 90 dead workers over the course of this game. So almost, Roddy. We're almost there.
Nice little forward blink there by ShoWTimE on the right side. Grabs a Roach, is splitting up his army. Knows it. Reynor's trying to make this game as chaotic as humanly possible. There are plenty of Archons in the mix that can soak up a couple of these Banelings. Reynor, his hive is halfway done. We're wiping in 5 DTs now. I wouldn't even hate it if he keeps them regular. Lots of Banelings gonna roll into this Protoss army. Sentries get blown up. But the Archons are doing what they do best, and that is soak up those Banelings. Let the Stalkers be safe, and then the Stalkers can come back and save the Archons for all their hard work. Seems like Reynor shot at his own Ravager there for a split second. I mean, it's an impossible game for a Zerg to win. We know Reynor is capable of winning impossible games, but I don't think it's this one. Not against this ShoWTimE, the way that ShoWTimE is showing up tonight, because I think he's playing really good.
Yeah, the fact here that, again, we told this story last game, we're going to tell it again. The fact that we are even in a question about how this game is going to go, considering, again, how poor the early to mid game was for Reynor, is still kind of insane. And yes, he did lose 2 bases, but at least his hive is up. At least he can theoretically get Vipers, although we don't have that one just yet, and even Louis lost another base. But again, the fact that we're not just saying, well, you know, ShoWTimE, the game's over, whatever, is impressive. Granted, it's not it's not gonna win Reynor this game, but it's promising for the next one, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, Reynor being down 1-2 in a main event is always fun as well, because he is the favorite. We all love the kid. Well, I think almost everyone loves him. There are some people out there that think he's arrogant. We are not quite sure yet what that means, but we're figuring it out. It's like a mix between annoying and arrogant or something. But Reynor is a great kid, but he's too damn good. That's the only problem with Reynor. He's too damn good. So he often makes for not the best series because he's too good. So it's fun to see him really being pushed to the limit by someone like ShoWTimE. You love to see it. It's obviously great for ShoWTimE as well, because he has been struggling with these guys. Serral, Reynor, and even Clem to some degree. They get the best of him so often. So to see Mr. Mauer play as well as he's currently doing, that's awesome. I hope he's paying attention here. I think he is.
So, Roddy, Reynor, his back's against the wall. He's got to find something, and it seems like that solution, at least his idea about that solution, is going to be going for Ultras. The Ultra Cavern just completed, but into, what are we at? 8 Archons, a bunch of Blink Stalkers. That doesn't seem like the best play to me.
Yeah, but what else would you like to see?
I mean, that's a really good Swarm Host. That's actually, it's not even a good question. Oh, the answer is Swarm Host, Roddy.
I don't think Swarm was really going to cut it anymore when the army supplies are this big. I think the only thing I'd love to see from Reynor, if he maybe had some more time, was a couple Vipers. I think Vipers are always godlike. They go well together with Roaches and Ravages as well. But look at the minimap, man. This is impossible to observe. ShoWTimE is literally everywhere at once. Reynor rolls in the Banelings, tries to blow up a couple of these key robo units. Another big shot lands as 4 Ravages get blown up. It's chaos. Look at the minimap. He's everywhere. ShoWTimE with 1,000,000 Zealots and DTs right now in the main base of Reynor. And I really do feel that he's just getting one back right now. He's like, you got the best of me with those Swarmos and those Locusts over and over again. Right now, I'm going to get the best of you with 17 gateways, maybe even more in the end. How many did we have in the end? Yeah, 17 gateways, War Prism, well upgraded units. I mean, it was a great game by ShoWTimE. A very, very good game.
And it really was. I enjoyed that one a lot. Where do you go from here, though, right? We saw... Sorry?
Nothing. I didn't say anything. I'm listening.
Okay. But yeah, I guess where do you go from here, right? We saw Reynor go game 1. The Swarm Host tech, it worked. Although there was a brief period where it looks like ShoWTimE might have been able to kill all the Swarm Hosts and win the fight. Didn't quite happen. And then we've had 2 games in a row where Reynor feels almost forced into this heavy harassment style. Spires and massive Ling run-bys, and they get the damage, but never quite cost-effective enough. And they never quite pull him back into the game. So you just got to batten down the early game here, Roddy? Like, what does Reynor have to do to win that, to bring us to game 5?
Well, early game PvZ at this level is obviously incredibly important, and ShoWTimE just got the best of Reynor there. Reynor tried to be a greedy boy, play on the knife's edge, where he's like, don't need spores, couple queens, they'll be in the right spot, couple lings are going to be fine against the adepts. ShoWTimE did a phenomenal job with his oracles, he kept them alive. Then he killed that first queen, he killed the second queen. And at that point, when you don't have any spore crawlers, yeah, it's impossible even for Reynor to have right amount of units in the right place. So the adepts find damage, the oracles find more damage. Reynor needs to clean up the early game. He knows that. The fact that he turns these games as fun and close and long as they are is already impressive by itself. But it really comes down to the first 6-7 minutes of a game on this level. Reynor is not allowed to let ShoWTimE get that far ahead.
Yeah, at that point, when you try to be greedy with not getting spores and then you get punished for that greed, it really does turn the game on its head. But Roddy, I was talking this map up in the last series. The game ended up being not all that great, but we're getting on to Neo-Humanity for this map. And again, this is something where I want to see, let me invite you, where I want to see this game go late, because there are these bases in the middle of the map that actually are facing their opponent. So it's kind of wide open. The Nexus or the hatcheries expand. Why can't I invite you?
I don't know. I'm here.
Oh wait, that's I'm trying to add you as my friend, and that's not. There we go.
No. We're not that close yet, mate. Don't get carried away now.
It just is. I guess one or both of us have a full friends list, so it keeps erroring out.
Yeah, it's totally full. No, I'm joking.
Roddy, what does it feel like to have friends?
Actually, it is full. On this account, it is full. You're right. That does not work, mate. Yeah. This is a very old account. This is my OG account where I have my collector's editions and stuff. I don't ladder on it a whole lot because I laddered it up to 6K and I was very proud of it. So I was like, that looks good. But now we have a new season, so I guess I do need to ladder a little bit.
I get that feeling. So on my main account, it's like, you know what? It's wherever it is. I'm certainly not that good right now, so we're just gonna kind of keep it there. And
I had a great run yesterday, mate. Our fellow Basilisk member Trigger was kind enough to give me a couple points. So even the ladder account that I use every single day is getting up there right now, but not quite 6K yet. I want to answer a quick question of Bruno, who said it was a lovely Canadian who was at Home Circuit Cup as well. He said, would I consider a Warcraft 3 show match versus ShoWTimE? Winner gets Reynor to sleep at his house the next time. Big Warcraft 3 Big Brain Bouts, the Battle of the Dutch Cabins. The answer to that is no, because I think even if you win, you lose, because life is a lot better when Reynor is not at your house. And second of all, the Big Brain Bouts is about competitive video gaming. And ShoWTimE, sure, he may be a bit better in StarCraft than I am, but in Warcraft 3, I would slap him all over the place. So, no, that is not a Big Brain Bout match. Take that, Kev. Let's go ahead and hop into Game 4.
Someone clip that and send that to ShoWTimE. Just
oh, he knows, mate. He knows. He knows his place. He's a smart individual. All right, guys. No, this is the wrong score. This is the correct score. Let's go ahead and hop into Game 4 of the Basilisk Big Brain Bouts main event. In the bottom right side of Neo-Humanity, we're looking at the main base of the man that is taking the 2-1 lead and is playing one hell of a best of 5 so far. Can he close it out? Mr. Mauer, ShoWTimE.
And in the upper left, looking for that reverse sweep at the very least to send us to game number 5. It's Reynor. And Roddy.
Yes.
I think this map, if there's a map that Reynor's going to take, it's going to be this one. Because if you think about it, okay, Neo-Humanity means new humanity. Well, the Zergs, they infest a lot of humans in the campaign, in the lore. They make them new humans. So, technically here, the map was made for Reynor.
You lost me at campaign there, mate. Did you finish all 3 campaigns?
I did. I played through every single one of them like once. Just to say I did it.
I completed Wings of Liberty, but I think in Heart of the Swarm I got stuck at like level 7 or something. I was like, man, this is too hard, so I just decided to ladder it up.
Yeah, that's very fair. I got through each of them once, really, just to say I did. I think I played through almost the entirety of Legacy's campaign on like launch day. But yeah, I was always much more of I want to play, like, I got into this because of Scarlet's run in WCS Summer 2013, right? Specifically the game on Star Station, where she had to creep across the map at like 8 minutes and kill Bomber in this really cool game. I'm like, that's what StarCraft's about. I want to do that. And I've never done that. But I wanted to do that, and yeah, I guess campaigns are kind of secondary for that.
Campaigns are wild. I know you mentioned the banelings that can jump up cliffs and stuff. I remember some of that, but I have to admit, from the memories I have of playing the campaign in the early days, around like level 8 or level 9 or level 10 in Wings of Liberty campaign, there was this one level where you would only control the heroes. You would have like 3 or 4 heroes. Obviously, how do you call him? Reynor? right? Is it Reynor? Jim
Yeah.
Reynor. He was one of them, and you would have like the medevac, the healer, the engineer. It was kind of like playing Dota and StarCraft, and I actually really enjoyed that level of the campaign. I actually thought that was the most fun, where you were controlling like the 3 or 4 heroes together. I thought it was a super awesome level. And if I could play that one again, I would probably do it. I think you killed zombies or something, but that's a really long time ago, so I don't really remember.
Hey, you want to talk about campaign? Really, you got to talk to Steadfast, because that man grinds the Lost Viking game like so much. It's ridiculous. You'll see him go after a 10-hour EPT broadcast, right? Europe and North America. And he's like, yeah, I'm just going to play Lost Viking for a couple hours. What are you even doing? Go to sleep.
Passion, mate. I tried that Lost Viking as well. I wasn't. That's the mini game, right, on the arcade thing, where you have to fight. Yeah, I tried it, but I wasn't that good at it, and I was like, I am not gonna tell myself that I want these accomplishments that other people want, because I would open Reddit and they're like, oh, it's pretty doable, man. Like, I just played for like 6.5 hours, and I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. Like, let's just not do that. All right, first Oracle flies into the main base, grabs 2 drones, gets out of there. A lot of damage for 2 drones, but hey, it's a start.
That's a much better start for Reynor, though, in this game. Remember, the previous games with no spores and mineral lines, the oracles and the adepts they run in, and they get like a grand total of 10 workers each game, right? Like, much, much worse. And that is still an opportunity for ShoWTimE to find as the second oracle runs across. But there are already spores in the third base. This is a safer Reynor, I think, we're looking at compared to game 1. But the spore's not ready in the main. 3 queens, though. They force it back. 3 total drones dead. 430 in. A much safer Reynor in this game 4.
Yeah, no, that's very solid. 2 oracles take a lot of damage. Obviously, Spore Crawler's finishing up. Queen's in the correct position. Reynor not sleeping on the job. He knows that that one is still out there, even though he didn't necessarily see it leave. I like the Overlord spread as well. Now he sees Oracle number 3 sync up. And the Adepts have revealed themselves on creep. This is obviously important too. It's not all about the Oracles. You want to make sure you keep track of the Adepts. ShoWTimE lets the Shade finish up. Let's see if he can find some damage.
All right, so Adepts in the main base now. One will go down at the start, and they just can't find the mineral line. One drone does go down, but they find their way into the third base now, getting another one. But this is not finding the value that ShoWTimE's been looking for, not in the slightest. 2 drones for losing, what was that? I think 3 Adepts went down, buying 5. Hey, this is we've been saying this before. This is such a better start for Reynor than it was in the previous game.
Yep. I love what ShoWTimE tried to do there, but he didn't quite do it, or he did it too quick. He realized that the low HP Oracle was in front of the high HP Oracle, so he tried to send it back to make sure that the full HP Oracle, the healthy one, would soak up the Spore Crawler shot, but he was a bit too eager to still get in range of those drones, so it didn't work out, and then he had to micro it back, lost the DPS there. So tiny mistake by ShoWTimE. It's not a disaster by any means. It's just a better start for Reynor, right? This is not one of these starts where it's like, oh, Reynor, you're in all sorts of trouble. He's taking the base in the center of the map, by the way, with the rich Vespian guys. Is this the base that you're so hyped over?
Yes, it's actually so interesting, right? Because it is forward facing like a lot of bases, but it's not super defended. It's a rich gas base, which technically helps the Zerg a little bit, but it's so wide open that maybe in this matchup it's not quite as impactful, but on other, well, it's not quite as attackable, but on other, like for TVZ, it's pretty attackable, and you can put tanks behind that mineral line, kind of behind everything, and it does a great job of defending the base. So it forces a lot of interaction in the middle of the map.
This, by the way, was such a sick bluff by Reynor. Did you see that? Reynor sends the 2 queens forward, and he has like 5 links on the left, and he's like, yeah. Oh, ShoWTimE loses an Oracle with a lot of energy. That's a shame. Reynor had nothing. Reynor had 7 queens. Obviously, a lot of them were not there, and he had 7 Zerglings. If ShoWTimE just right-clicks on that hatchery, he gets a kill. 100,000% certain. But ShoWTimE doesn't know what we know. He doesn't know how many lings are out there or how close the roaches are. The roaches were in production, but they weren't there yet. But by Reynor just flexing those units right on the range of ShoWTimE's vision, ShoWTimE was like, I don't want to make that mistake, so let me just go ahead and disengage. That was actually crazy by Reynor, because that was an all-out bluff. He had nothing. His army was not good enough to fight ShoWTimE's army, but he got away with it.
Yeah, and now we're moving into the Swarm Host play. What do we have? Going up to like 11, 13 more Swarm Hosts on the map. And this map, I think, is actually going to be very good for that. There's this position. You see Swarm Hosts are not quite there just yet. But that base and that unpathable space right behind the base is a perfect spot for Swarm Hosts to just hide behind and start to lay siege at the third base of ShoWTimE. So it's going to make them safe while still they are able to be that aggressive for the most part. So okay, I'm not a big Stormhost fan. I don't think you are either, but I like the decision on this map because of just how the terrain really works out for the most part. So first set of Locusts goes down, shield battery overcharge not popped just yet. The Locusts are actually dying fairly quickly. Doesn't seem like ShoWTimE actually lost all that much, so good initial hold. And Roddy, more often than not, when we're talking about the Swarmhost play, it's the first round that matters.
Yep. But in the finals of last Monday, I believe there was one game where ShoWTimE actually managed the first round very well. Didn't take any damage. He could fire Novas here though. And I think that it's going to be impossible for Reynor not to at least take some damage. This mostly settles for Queens. And the other one is going to soften up for Swarm also. It's a shame that the shots did not sync up there for ShoWTimE, but obviously a good job by Reynor as well in making sure that would be difficult. Can ShoWTimE save the Disruptors? Yes, he can. Can he save that Immortal? Having an Immortal or two in the mix when dealing with this many roaches is very important too. We fire a Nova! Oh, that's a big one! That's 4 or 5 Ravagers, and he drops the other Disruptors. ShoWTimE is getting some massive connections, and Reynor is losing way more than he's supposed to lose.
Oh, I didn't even notice, though. He's building more Oracles as well. The bonus damage to Light shreds these Locusts. So, massive Disruptor shots from the front and the flank. And ShoWTimE also shows the 5 Oracles that he's made, 6th one on the way. Annihilates the Locust. And yeah, Supply says Reynor is maxed out. ShoWTimE isn't. But the connections he's made over the last little bit of time, another one. And the Ravager's starting to fall. This 4th base is under tremendous pressure all of a sudden here, Roddy.
Yep, yeah, the 5 or 6 Oracles that we currently have out, 5 of them, they were great against the Locusts, but the biggest key here for ShoWTimE is just that he's saving the Disruptors. Last Monday, he wasn't able to. Reynor knows that he is in trouble, guys. He may be maxed out, but if ShoWTimE can become a 4-base Protoss that gets close to maxing out, Reynor won a lot of these other... Oh, more Novas! These ones not as big as the previous ones, but... Like a lot of the scenarios, it was 110 supply versus 40. 120 army supply against 55. Right now, it's 118 against 93. ShoWTimE will be very happy with that. Reynor will not be happy. Reynor needs a big victory in the near future. Or we could very well be looking at what I would like to say is one of the biggest upsets in the Big Brain Bouts in a while. And that is ShoWTimE getting a 3-1 victory over Reynor. It's starting to look like it. ShoWTimE is not there yet, but it's absolutely starting to look like it.
I mean, ShoWTimE's PvZ over the last several months has been looking incredible. I think back to those games against Cyril at Home Story Cup. But even still, you're right. Big upset as the shot, maybe big upset as the shot goes forward. Lingering Bite tries to find something, but this base is so hard to hold. Stark's playing on top of the Queen. The Biles, they're not really going to land. And now Reynor forced to abandon this 4th base. So he's on 3 bases. But the thing is, the Locusts, they find the gold position on the right side, the left side, excuse me. That's going to be a dead natural at the very least. So base for a base right now still favors the Protoss player. But if maybe you can find another one of those in 40 seconds, it may make it happen. The problem is, Roddy, Reynor cannot fight this army of ShoWTimE. It's a bunch of roaches, down upgrades, no banelings, nothing to deal with the Zealots. And you talk about an upset, it's happening right here. The roaches, they continue to run away. Stormhost, they pop out of the night to maybe add something to sacrifice their lives and soak the DPS that Reynor needs, but it's not gonna matter. And it's a 3-1 upset. ShoWTimE, he takes it. And what a cool series.
Damn, Mr. Mauer showed up in a big way today, guys. We are playing on the old patch, but that is one hell of a performance. Just did a much better job in keeping these key units alive. Obviously was able to find a lot of economic damage in some of these games earlier. That was a very, very good showing by D. Mauer as he gets a 3-1 victory over Reynor. Yeah, and maybe that first wave was indeed a crucial point in this game, but the first wave didn't get a whole lot done. I did love the positioning of the War Prism as well, but yeah, just a great performance by ShoWTimE overall. He clearly showed us that he has learned a thing or two, and hopefully he can bring some of this magic into the future patch as well, and he can make those 2 European Zerg Titans sweat properly. Not just in Katowice, but in following events as well. Because obviously, the more players that can win tournaments in the European scene, I think the more exciting events are in general. But this was a great series for him. ShoWTimE wins $150. Reynor still gets $50 for showing up. And that is going to do it for the BASILISK Big Brain Bouts number 13. I was joined by BeoMulf for the final 2 series. I had a lot of fun, Beo. Did you have a lot of fun?
No, I hate StarCraft and I hate casting and I hate hanging. No, that was a lot. That was a lot of fun. We had great, certainly the finals or the last series was incredible. And, you know, we finished right at the right time, Roddy. My logo is starting to really fall off. So
I believe,
we timed
mate,
it out well.
I believe that Basilisk is more than solid enough that by the next time you join me, I think you should be able to have a sweatshirt or two. I have my name on the back, by the way, so if I were you,
Ooh.
I would push them a little bit and be like, hey, can I get a little BeoMulf on the back? Because I actually absolutely love this shirt. I saw Trigger was swimming in it yesterday as well, so he looked good too. No, I'm glad you had fun, mate. And obviously, once more, congratulations on the awesome Niels. And I know that you're going to do great things because you are not just a great commentator, but you're fantastic with tech. And you can make, I think, a lot of broadcasts, not just your own, but other broadcasts out there, a lot better. And I'm excited to see what Basilisk and you can do together. So I'm very happy about the Niels, and I know you're very happy too. And I'm glad you had a good time tonight.
I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do together. Not just me and Basilisk, but you too. It'll be a good time.
You're going to save the grandpa over here, mate, that doesn't know how to do anything?
I'm just going to build you a lot of stuff that you just have to hit like a go button and that's it.
I think we can do that. We can do that, sort of. No promises, but I'm going to do my best.